Oh, hey.
Hey, thanks for meeting me here on such short notice. This place isn't bugged, is it?
Bugged? Wait, Jamie, what's going on?
It's just, you're my only lawyer friend, and I need your professional opinion. Do you see that brand new Hyundai Tucson out there?
Yeah?
That's all I paid for it.
I think I need to get back to you on that.
Do you know what you want?
Yeah, I do now.
Deal's so right, it almost feels wrong. Get the car or SUV you've always wanted, plus America's best warranty at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. The guilt is real, but so is the savings.
Listen, I don't want to get in your business, but if that's all she paid for it, I'll have what she's having.
It's a great day for a new Hyundai at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event going on now. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days on all Hyundai Palisade, Santa Fe, and Santa Fe hybrid models. And check out our other great deals at your Hyundai dealer today. Offer ends September 2nd. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Seth Wickersham here in about 15 minutes. Tulane running back Maurice Turner at the bottom of this hour. Lee Sterling later as well. Breaking news, this is now official. This just in the inbox from the Southeastern Conference at 4:01 p.m. Central Time. Herb Vincent. The SEC is implementing a 9-game conference football schedule beginning in 2026. Ross Dellinger had it earlier today. It is now official from the league's office. 9 league games, 3 permanent opponents, 6 rotating, and they are maintaining the Power 4 mandate. So starting in 2026, you will have 9 SEC games plus your Power 4 opponents. So 10 of your 12 games will be games that people actually care to see, and only 2 garbage games remain. Much more reaction to that as we move forward. We open the show talking about that, so you can catch that on demand if you missed it. What an oddity for the New Orleans Saints. They play Jacksonville on Sunday, and hours later they trade Colin Saunders to Jacksonville. And now the Saints are about to play the Broncos on Saturday, and just a few days before that game, they trade for Denver wide receiver Devaughn Vele. If you're not familiar, I'll give you a little background on Devaughn Vele. So he's 27 years old, and he's in his second year in the NFL. He went to Utah, so those guys who go on the LDS missions, obviously, they're older. So he's a 27-year-old second-year pro. He's 6'5", 210 pounds. So he's a big-bodied wide receiver. And last year, as a rookie, he was a 7th-round pick of the Broncos and had 41 catches for just under 500 yards, 3 touchdowns in just 13 games. So as a rookie, 7th-rounder, he ended up being quite productive. Sean Payton, a year ago, compared Devaughn Vele to another big-bodied 7th-round pick at receiver you might recognize.
The strength for him certainly are his hands. You guys saw it in camp. He's got strong hands in traffic. He's a guy that plays well over the middle. He reminds me a lot of Marcus Colston, who I had in New Orleans for 10 or 11 years. Very quickly, we've seen his growth. So in our staff meeting 20 minutes ago, I said we got to continue to find touches for him.
That is high praise. That is Sean Payton, one of the brightest offensive minds ever, comparing Devaughn Vele to Marcus Colston, the greatest receiver in New Orleans Saints history. Payton also just 8 days ago was, so again, if you're thinking, well, they were just looking to move on from it, this was Sean Payton just 8 days ago talking about the progress Devaughn Vele's made in year 2.
I've said this before, even a year ago. He's extremely smart. He can play a lot of the positions. He's a good blocker. I like his size. It's a good chess piece for us, the things that he does well. Certainly year 2 for him, but year 1 was accelerated learning for him as well. We found him playing more than just one position. Sometimes that's not the case, and part of it is the maintenance on his knee, making sure he's fresh, and it's a little bit easier to maintain in season than when you're just stacking day after day in training camp. So we'll continue to find his spots. He's a big target on third down and in the red zone.
Okay. That's Sean Payton just 8 days ago. Still very high on Devaughn Vele. And this makes a lot of sense for New Orleans. Look, you've got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Those are your unquestioned numbers 1 and 2. And then you went and signed Brandon Cooks this offseason. And, I didn't like adding Brandon Cooks, and it's not that I don't think Brandon Cooks has any gas left in the tank. From all accounts, I'm talking to Ross Jackson and folks that cover the team and have been out there at camp, Brandon Cooks still continues to play well and make an impact. The problem is Brandon Cooks is 5'10", and Chris Olave is right at 6 foot or a hair under. Rashid Shaheed, they have listed at 6 foot. I think those are generous. Mason Tipton's 5'11". You don't have any big receivers. So, yeah, you go get a guy that's 6'5", 210 pounds, strong hands, big body, bigger catch radius. Yeah, of course this is something that they need. And then there's the whole part about the compensation. And I think this is the part that maybe a lot of people are questioning. No one's questioning, look, Sean Payton co-signing on Devaughn Vele, great. Comparison to Marcus Colston. Makes sense for New Orleans, needed a big-bodied receiver. By the way, Kellen Moore even said that. He said, why did they, this is number 5 about needing size at receiver.
We certainly felt like if it presented itself, it would be a great opportunity. We feel great about that room. There's tons of good players in that room, and we feel like there's a lot of contributors that will contribute this year. And so, again, depth is obviously very valuable in this league, and so we felt like we added a big piece to it.
Okay, so Bub Means, who you drafted a year ago in the 5th round, who's that big-body receiver, hurt, on IR, done for the year. So you feel like, okay, you need another big-bodied receiver there. A lot of people are focusing on the fact that Vele a year ago was a 7th-round pick, and you gave up this year's 4 and next year's 7 to get him. A couple things. Look at the Saints' history, and generally, every other year, they don't make a 4th-round pick. They've used that as trade bait. For example, this year they had 2 4s, and they took Danny Stutzman and Quincy Riley. I think we're all very high on those 2 players. In 2024, they didn't have a 4th-round pick. In 23, they had 2. Saldiveri and Jake Haener. Neither are really becoming impactful players. They didn't have a 4th-rounder in 2022. In 2021, it was Ian Book, who obviously not a contributing player, not even here anymore. They didn't have one in the COVID year. In 2019, their 4th-round pick was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. CD Deuce, undeniable hit. He's a starter in the NFL. Really good player. The year before that, they took Rick Leonard in the 4th round. Didn't even make the team. They didn't have one in 2017. In 2016, they took David Onyemata. So you can kind of see, every other year, they don't have a 4th-rounder. And really, they've hit on 2 guys, CD Deuce, David Onyemata. I mean, there's a lot of Kyrie Fort and Nick Toon in round 4 throughout the Saints' history. Al Woods was a 4th-rounder. back in 2010. Stanley Arno and Chip Vaughn, the teammates from Wake Forest that the Saints took in the 4th round back in 2009, were 4th rounders. Antonio Pittman was a 4th rounder, didn't make the team as a rookie. Now, Jamon Bushrod was a 4th rounder. But the point is, it's really a 50-50 proposition as to whether or not you're even going to get a contributing player in round 4 based on the Saints' history. So if you're giving up a 4 for a guy that you know can play in the league, you're eliminating the uncertainty about the player that comes along sometimes with missing in the draft. I will say this, however, and this, you hear me say all the time, I love the digital era because everything we say is recorded. And if you have the time, tolerance, or desire to go back, you can listen to anything that I said on this show before or after the NFL draft. And one of the positions I and many of you wanted the Saints to address was receiver. They needed to go get a big-bodied receiver because they didn't have that for all the reasons I just said. And then after the draft, takeaway, I liked that they made 9 picks and they got younger, but they didn't select a receiver. So I would just like to point out that our esteemed general manager in New Orleans, Sir Gumsmack and Mick, instead of using 1 draft pick to take a receiver, just used 2 draft picks to trade for a receiver. I'm not good at math. That's well established on this show. That math sucks. Now, I hope that Vele is the next Marcus Colston. I hope he's here for a decade. That means he'd have to play till he's 37, which I don't think that's going to happen. But I hope he's here for a long time. Is a contributing, big-bodied receiver. Would love to see that happen. And I hope we look back and go, yeah, it was absolutely worth a 4 and a 7. Absolutely. It's also hard not to look back and go, why didn't you just draft a big-bodied receiver? Guy. Keep your picks for next year so you can draft more young players. But then again, this is also the general manager that tried to compare Dennis Allen to the likes of Tom Landry and Chuck Noll. So who am I to try to combat logic like that? It's after further review. Brought to you by Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. Great local product, y'all. EVAMOR. Drink Evermore. Available at great local retailers. Available online. It is a product of Louisiana, a natural artesian well. Thousands of years in the making in this underground aquifer. Make sure when you're at your favorite retailer, you buy Evermore. Support a great local company. And if you're at your local retailer and they don't have Evermore, go up to the manager, slap him in the face and say, get Evermore in here. Don't do that. I'm kidding. Don't really do that. But drink Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. All right, y'all. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. We're going to knock out a quick break. Seth Wickersham, senior writer at ESPN.com. He's got a new book, American Kings, the biography of the quarterback. Excited to have Seth join us to talk about his new project. By the way, Colin Hurley is featured in this book. So one of the primary reasons I wanted to talk with Seth about his new project. We'll do that when we come back. Stay with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Coworker earlier today told me that he's 44 years old, that he's scheduled a consultation over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness to go get his testosterone levels drawn. Again, we talk about it all the time, and I know Goodwood does ED treatments. Yes, they do. That's one thing among many things that they do. And I just kind of chuckled. I said, just wait. Because most men don't think about your testosterone levels. You just become familiar with feeling, with the way you feel. And until you feel good again, you don't know how bad you felt. I live that. And hormone replacement therapy can be life-changing. The energy you have when you wake up in the morning, the zest, the mental clarity, the ability to burn fat, build muscle, libido, all of it, like when you were younger. Go for that consultation. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
There's rarely a day that goes by without me getting some type of interview request in my inbox. A lot of times from authors who have new books that are going on the media circuit and looking to do some promotion. And I try to be selective to bring you things that I think you'd be interested in. And I got a message from Seth Wickersham, who many know is a senior writer over at ESPN, about his new book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. The title itself caught my eye because anytime you try to put a different spin on writing about quarterbacks, it's always going to be fascinating to see what direction you may take it. But also, there's stuff in here about LSU, about Colin Hurley, a current LSU quarterback. He said, yeah, I would love to talk to Seth about this. So Seth Wickersham, the book is American Kings. He's a senior writer over at ESPN and, of course, New York Times bestseller. Good to join us for a couple of minutes here. Hey, Seth, how are you? Thanks for the time.
Man, it's tough work being this shameless, trying to promote things, but yet, we have to do it.
Yeah, no, look, it's part of the gig. But the thing is, Seth, I don't have to say yes to everybody. And I quite honestly, I seldom do, but I thought this one was fascinating because of your reputation and also the subject matter. So let me just start with sort of a 10,000-foot view question. How do you approach a project where you say, okay, I'm going to write about quarterbacks and make it something people haven't read before?
Yeah, not only that, I essentially wanted to write about every quarterback ever, which is kind of ridiculous, yeah, but it's true. And so I was very careful. I did a ton of research about quarterbacks throughout history, both that I was personally fascinated with, ones that had left an indelible cultural imprint, like, Unitas or Namath, yeah, and then people who could speak to it in a way that I thought was interesting and new. And so I spent a couple of years, I did a ton of traveling for it. I interviewed and spent a ton of time with a lot of people. And, I settled on the characters that I did. And I wrote this book for anyone who's ever played quarterback. And a lot of quarterbacks have played, people who played it professionally at a high level, have read it and relate to a lot of the things in it, even if it's not their particular story. Anyone who's ever played quarterback, anyone who played it in high school like me and wondered, these Uncle Ricos, and anyone who's ever, wondered about it, because it's a very unique American job with very unique responsibilities. And I wanted to show it everywhere from high school to retired Hall of Famer.
I was a high school offensive lineman. Is there something in there for me?
Hopefully you just don't throw the entire thing away.
You also have in your Twitter bio Joe Burrow's older brother. A lot of people here are pretty fascinated with him. Anything in there about Joey B?
I met with Joe and I interviewed him for it. And one of the things, I didn't use this because I ended up, he and Tom Brady said something very similar. And I ended up using what Tom Brady said, but it was about the mental place that they get to before games where, it's vaguely sociopathic. You get to the point where it's not that you just don't feel doubt or pressure. It's that you almost feel nothing at all. And I thought that was a fascinating window. I talked to Joe Burrow about it, and at the end of the day, I kind of thought Brady's example popped a little bit more. They were kind of saying the same thing. But anyway, Burrow is an unbelievable guy, and he's done some pretty amazing things as a quarterback, including, there's so much pressure that comes with the job, and there's so much fame that comes with the job. Really, the book is about American ambition and American fame. And the question is, how do you, wrap your head around that and stay sane and do your job at a high level? And Burrow has a very particular way of doing it that I think is interesting, because he narrows his job down to such a teeny degree that he almost doesn't feel guilt if it doesn't work out, which is weird. You'd think it'd be the opposite, but if he throws the ball on time and where it's supposed to go to a receiver and it's intercepted, I don't think he feels like that he did anything wrong. It was the receiver's job to get where he needed to be when he needed to be there. And I think that that's a fascinating element, because we think about quarterbacking as being, you have to be responsible for everybody. And that's true to a point, but you also have to trust other people to do their jobs. And I think that Burrow is very evolved when it comes to that particular element.
How did you stumble upon Colin Hurley to include him in the book?
I wanted someone who was precocious. I wanted someone who could show what it meant to be a high school quarterback now, and all of the weird multi-million-dollar circuit of high school quarterbacking, from these 7-on-7 tournaments to the showcases to, the arm care and the physical therapy and the throwing coaches and the media specialists that they need to bring in. And, oh, by the way, also your responsibilities to your high school team. And Colin was a terrific person to spend a lot of, I met with him in, I think, 8 different states. It was a lot of travel. And he was a fascinating person to spend time with because he wanted to be the youngest for everything. There was a critical moment where he had committed to LSU and he was due to graduate and be part of the class of 25. And he wanted to reclassify and be part of the class of 24, which would mean entering college at age 16. And he did it. And his dad was very worried about that, but he did it. He entered college at age 16. For a long time, I was with him in his dorm when he spent, when his parents moved him in and dropped him off. And for a while, I thought, that would be my final scene with Colin Hurley in the book, having spent all kinds of time with him. But, his career and his life took a turn.
I would assume you're talking about the accident he had earlier in the year. And
I went down to Baton Rouge and I was with him in the ICU. I was with him in recovery, and thankfully he's not only recovered as a human, which wasn't clear that he would at a time for a time, but he has recovered as a football player, and he is out there doing what he loves with a very new appreciation for it.
Yeah. I remember speaking to Brian Kelly at SEC Media Days last month, and a lot of the info on that accident has been sparse that's come out. And Brian Kelly told me, I believe it was Wilson Alexander, the advocate there as well, said at one point they were worried about potential brain damage and things like very serious ramifications. So to see him back out there is a true testament to his physical makeup, his mentality to attack recovery head on, and as remarkable a young person. We interview a lot of high school athletes, right? Recruiting and all. He's as remarkable a high school athlete as I've ever spoken to in 20 years.
He is, but that's a dangerous path that he was on. And, I'm glad that it looks like he's going to come out okay with it. But, he was in an induced coma for days, and it wasn't clear. I think it was pretty clear early on that he was going to live. And, that was a question at the immediate, moment. But, then it was like, what kind of life is he going to have? Is he ever going to play football again? What if he can't? And, fortunately, there's some stuff in the book on there, some painful moments that I witnessed, but, he did a remarkable job of retraining himself and his body to do the things that once came naturally. And, again, it's great. It's great seeing him out there.
It's incredible. Seth Wickersham is our guest, senior writer at ESPN, is the author of the new book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. I love to ask this question, Seth, whenever I talk to an author or maybe a filmmaker. It's impossible for everything to make it in the book. There's always going to be things that find itself on the cutting room floor and the editing floor. Is there something in particular that you really struggled with that you wanted it to be included, but that just didn't make it into the final copy?
I know, it's so funny. One of the funny things when you do a book or you do a big story is that, everybody asks you what the reaction is. And I'm like, the reaction is everyone asking me about the reaction. What didn't make it? Obviously some of the stuff about Burrow, and he's a fascinating character. I had to be ruthless in terms of, what I needed from each character to be able to express, no matter who they were, whether it was John Elway or Warren Moon or Arch Manning or Caleb, Colin Hurley, Caleb Williams, whatever it was, I needed them to play a particular part. And I really had to be ruthless about it. There's a buddy of mine who wrote a book also, and his editor cut quite a bit out of the book. And he said, the readers don't know what's not in there. And that part of it is painful because there's a lot of great stories out there that I didn't quite get to. Maybe there'll be a sequel, who knows? But, and I also think there's this entire economy. It's kind of interesting, of NFL quarterbacks who are retreads, who were very high draft picks, came into untenable situations where people fail all the time, and they they look like busts. And, the NFL loves to move on from quarterbacks, but they figure out a way to hang on and survive and learn from some good coaching. And then they come back in a better situation and they end up having pretty good careers, like Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. He's one of those guys. And that entire part of quarterbacking to me was really interesting. But again, I had to lose some things, and that was part of it.
Last thing for you, Seth. Of course, you can get I would assume pre-order the book's available starting in September, but I would assume pre-order is available right now.
Anywhere books are sold, but yes.
Yeah. No doubt you go into a project like this with a certain thesis, like a certain idea of which direction you want to go. And how many people did you interview for the book?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I mean, some of the stuff I drew upon from, being at ESPN for 2 decades. So it was into the hundreds. So if I ask you, with whatever the preconceived notion, the thesis you went in with, what is something that throughout this process that genuinely surprised you, either in confirmation or disconfirming what you thought? Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's not a history of the forward pass, although it has historical moments of the quarterback position in it. And basically, I thought that quarterback went from a place, it was a slow build to reach the lofty place in our culture that it has and has had for a long time. When in fact, it really happened quickly. Like the forward pass was legalized in college football in 1906. And from the moment Walter Camp invented the quarterback position, he had a vision for what this person should be. Like, the job description was fascinating. It's not someone who just hands off. It was someone who just had to be a different type of individual. And when you listen to what he's describing, you think he's talking about an army general or a CEO. And that's in 1906. And there's a character named Bo McMillan who's kind of been forgotten by history. He was retroactively awarded the Heisman Trophy for 1921, and he helped Centre College in Kentucky pull off an amazing upset against Harvard. And when he came back, the governor of Kentucky, they held a parade, and the governor of Kentucky said, "I would rather be the quarterback. I would rather be Bo McMillan than be governor of Kentucky." And that was a fascinating moment, because now people say that stuff all the time, right? I mean, now presidents call them rather than the other way around. Right. But that was the first moment I saw, and again, the quarterback position's pretty young at that point, and that's the first moment I saw where someone who we kind of hold as a luminary turned and said, I would rather have that job any day of the week.
What a fascinating tale. Seth Wickersham. You can follow him on Twitter at Seth Wickersham, or X, whatever you want to call it. The book is American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, available for pre-sale now wherever you can find books. I'm lucky to have an advanced copy here on the set with me, and very excited to dive into it. Seth, we appreciate the time, and we look forward to it, man. Thank you so much for making the time today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
It's our pleasure. It's after further review. We're going to knock out a quick break. We'll move from a quarterback to running back. Tulane running back Maurice Turner set to join us when we come back on AFR.
After further review.
Watermark and the Renaissance, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet. Remember also, when we talk about Watermark Baton Rouge, voted by you the best hotel in the best of 225. But also, this fall, that building is celebrating its centennial when it opened as the Louisiana National Bank 100 years ago, back in 1925. And so they're doing a lot this fall. I can't wait to tell you more about some of the really fun things that they're going to have planned to celebrate the building centennial. But it's another reason why I tell you, man, if you've never been to Watermark Baton Rouge, make a point to get there to experience this landmark in our city and our state. It's been there for 100 years, has continued to evolve. They've maintained so much of the historical integrity of the building while adding modern amenities, and it is gorgeous. A great place to have a private dining event, any type of wedding reception, or just a cocktail before a game. It's Watermark Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Week from Saturday, the Tulane Green Wave are going to open up in New Orleans. They're uptown against Northwestern from the Big Ten, and making his debut with Green Wave is transfer running back Maurice Turner. Spent the last 3 years at Louisville. Now he's in NOLA, and he joins us now. Maurice, it's a pleasure, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me.
Man, it's my pleasure. All right, you're gonna wear the bagel, man. You're gonna wear number 0. How'd you settle on that, man?
Honestly, man, I was hoping to get number 3 when I got there, but the quarterback, Caden Samanza, he so happened to get there before me, and I was like, so was there any other number open? And one of my best friends at Louisville, he wore number 0, so I was like, why not, man?
Who is that?
Chris Bell.
Okay. How does it look?
What do you mean by that?
Like when you look in the mirror, right? You look in the mirror and you see the 0.
I think it looks amazing on me. At first, I thought it was going to make me look kind of wide, but 0, I think it fits right this way.
Maybe that's what I was trying to ask in a subtle way.
Yeah.
If you like the way it looked, that's great, man. Hey,
yeah.
After 3 years in Louisville, why did you make the decision to pop in the portal?
Man, we had a great, outstanding running back room in Louisville, and I was the starter this past season and ended up having a season-ending injury. And it just so happened we had a lot of young guys in the room, and they stepped up and started making big plays there. And I wanted to find the best fit for me to where I can get the bulk of the carries, because I knew that if I came back, then we would have to just share between, I guess, like 3 or 4 guys. And I wanted a chance to, show my talent and hopefully get to the league someday.
Sure. And Tulane, obviously, Mekhi Hughes was a 1,400-yard rusher the last 2 seasons. He's now at Oregon. So is part of your decision to pick Tulane the system that you feel you fit in?
Yes, I would definitely say that. Coming to Tulane, Brock, the running back coach, he was harping on that they're a run team. And I'm like, man, that's what I do. I run the ball. Let's do it.
What have been your early impressions of playing for Coach Summerall?
I love Coach Summerall. When he brought me in, he was just so loving and caring up on me, and he installed the culture of Tulane there, and it's like a brotherhood with everybody. He got us close together, and I feel like the closer we get and the closer we are to each other, we can't be stopped.
Maurice Turner's with us, Tulane running back. There's a lot of expectation there uptown that Tulane could be make a push for the G5 spot in the playoff. How much? Please go ahead. I'll say how much you all talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to say I have total confidence in us making the playoffs this year. We handle our business the first 4 games and just take care of the conference games. We'll definitely be in there.
So it's Northwestern out of the Big Ten, at South Alabama, Duke, who you're familiar with from your time there at Louisville, and then at Ole Miss. So 3 Power 4 non-conference opponents. I will say this, Maurice, mad respect for loading up the schedule with a bunch of Power 4 opponents and trying to go get it. I mean, when you look at that, you said, clearly you're familiar with the slate there. What do you see when you look at that first month?
I just think that'll help us, get a good start for our conference games. We start off heavy and handle business the first 4 games. There's no doubt that we can handle the rest of the season.
Maurice Turner is our guest. We always appreciate our friends at the A&P Sports Agency who've helped connect us with so many great student athletes to be able to do these conversations and tell a lot of stories. What had you been to New Orleans before you got to Tulane, before you committed?
I have not. Honestly, before I got here, I only knew about New Orleans from the movie Princess and the Frog, a Disney Channel movie. That's the only thing I knew about it. I was telling Summerall that, and he said, man, you're going to love it here. We got great food, great music, great culture, and everything. I was like, all right, shit. And I can't wait to, experience it.
Well, you're from Georgia, so you didn't have that far to go. You're still, like a Southern guy. So what would have been your takeaways, your experiences there in New Orleans?
I would say that the city and the people here are amazing. There's always something to do. I'm from a small city in Georgia, Douglas, Georgia, and it's not much to do where I'm from. So coming to a bigger city, actually bigger than Louisville, has been a big step. And I've been able to visit new places. I actually went downtown when the Super Bowl was here, and I met a couple of celebrities. I seen Jameson Winston, Castanet, and I feel like just being in New Orleans gives me a great opportunity at accomplishing so many great things and meeting so many new people.
Man, I love to hear that, man. By the way, have you seen your college teammate Tyler Shuck in New Orleans yet?
I have. He actually stay right down the street from me, so that's a good thing. And I can actually, talk to him from time to time, see his takes on how it is to be in the league, and hopefully get some tips from him.
What do you think? What would you tell Saints fans they should expect from Tyler?
A great guy all around and a guy that makes plays. He has a little of that Pat Mahomes in him. I've seen it firsthand just being on the team with him. And when he gets comfortable, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing to see for defenses.
Hey, man, there's a lot of people up here. We're in Baton Rouge right now, and LSU's going to go play Clemson a week from Saturday. You got to play there. Y'all won there last year. I know you were injured, but what's it like playing there at Clemson?
Man, the fans is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I played Clemson my freshman year, and I think they pack out the stadium every game, no matter what game it is. 80,000 plus every single game. I'm just fond of how the fans just show up and show out every game for Clemson. I think it's a great environment to play in.
Hey, Maurice, you have no doubt personal goals for yourself. You said you want to get to the league, but on top of staying healthy this year, what else you want to accomplish?
I just want to accomplish the championship, honestly. Yeah, I have personal goals, but for our team, I want us to win an AAC championship this year and being a college football player and have a shot at the national title.
So the Princess and the Frog, that's what you knew about New Orleans. Now we can expand that horizon a little bit more. Tulane running back Maurice Turner. Hey, man, we wish you good health and much success this season, starting a week from Saturday, man. Thanks for carving out a few minutes for us here today.
Man, I really appreciate you guys for having me on here.
It's our pleasure, man. We'll keep tabs and we'll keep up with you throughout the course of the year. That is.
All right, thank you guys so much.
You got it, man. That is Maurice Turner. We appreciate our friends over at the A&P Sports Agency. Those are the guys that helped us get AJ Hulsey and Bernard Gooden on the show, and gave us the opportunity to talk to Maurice, and coming from so many interesting ties. Obviously, playing it at Tulane now, but having been a teammate of Tyler Shucks, and played in the ACC, played at Clemson. So many interesting storylines there, and Tulane is one of those teams. And I'm gonna tell you, it's interesting. This would be another one of those fascinating things with the committee, because obviously the highest ranked G5 champion is who makes the playoff. There's an auto bid there for the highest ranked G5 champion. It will be fascinating to see if Tulane wins the American, but struggles in. I mean, I just mentioned they had 3 Power 4 non-conference games. What if they lose those 3 games and they're sitting there at 9-3 or 8-4, but they're the American champion? Like, is that enough to get them in the playoff? It's going to be a fascinating thing to watch this year. But wish him luck, man. Really good young guy. We appreciate the time. All right, it's after further review. You don't have to wait until next Saturday. You got football this week with Week 0. Our buddy Lee Sterling is going to join us next with his best bets. Stay here. It's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Action Industries, a proud partner of LSU Athletics. As we often say, Action Industries, innovation in action. They're a great industrial contractor. They've been around for more than 4 decades. Remember, we're still in turnaround season, really through October. So if you have that turnaround coming up, you know you're going to have that turnaround coming up. You need someone to bid that job. Remember our friends over at Action Industries and, of course, the Advanced Turnaround Group. So the Advanced Turnaround Group is a subsidiary of Action Industries. And it's its own full set of resources. It's managers and workers and resources dedicated specifically to turnaround work. They're not taking people from other parts of the business and throwing them in the turnaround world. If you need your turnaround done timely, safely, effectively, efficiently, the Advanced Turnaround Group at Action Industries can help you out. Check them out online. It's Action Industries, innovation in action.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalVR.com.
Place your bets, gentlemen.
It's time to head to the window.
Don't gamble it all in one place.
This is Lee Sterling's Best Bets, brought to you by Paramount Sports.
Our pleasure to welcome Lee Sterling back to AFR this football season. How are you, sir?
Can't complain. A busy summer. How about yourself?
Busy summer certainly defines it. I think at one point I was in 7 cities in 6 weeks. LSU won a baseball national championship. Phenomenal summer. But, man, we were ready to buckle up and get going in football. By the way, Lee, we're going to dive into some of the college stuff. Do you handicap and mess around at all with any NFL? I'm just my own curiosity. Any of the NFL preseason games?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
You know the problem is mainly only week 2, which was last week, because then the starters will play a quarter, sometimes a half. I mean, opening week and this weekend where they're playing third and fourth stringers, unless you have a real strong conviction and you have a roster that's that much better than another team's roster. Better. Some of the best bets are no bets.
Sure. And some of us just can't help ourselves. Let's look at.
I know.
Let's look at.
I got some friends. I mean, we could in the All-Star break. They're bothering me.
Yeah.
So
let's look at this weekend, though, man. Week 0. There's 5 games. The big one on the marquee is the one in Dublin. I mean, from Ames, Iowa, and Manhattan, Kansas to Dublin. I mean, you were talking about stick out like a sore thumb, but this should be a heck of a football game. Kansas State's a 3-point favorite. What are we looking at in that game on Saturday, Lee?
So a lot of people, I think, were really shocked when they saw the line. Iowa State has beaten Kansas State for the last 5 games, and most of them haven't even been close. And they've also covered all 5 of the last 5 games. Now, what's interesting is you look at the schedules from last year. Iowa State had the 34th toughest schedule. Kansas State, near identical schedule, 38th toughest. But what shocked me was the Wildcats were actually better in almost every metric except for record. Example, Kansas State's outgained opponents here each game by an average of 83 yards per game. Iowa State, just 62 yards per game. They also held a 1.31 yards per play differential over their opponents, while the Cyclones had a puny 0.16 edge. So why did Iowa State go 11-3 and Kansas State 9-4? I think the biggest reason was turnovers. Iowa State was +9 in turnover ratio. Kansas State, a very uncharacteristic -1. After the 2 years before that, going +11 and +12. So I think things usually even themselves out here. 3 biggest factors in this game is I think Kansas State's quarterback, Avery Johnson, is just so explosive. He might be able to make 1 or more plays than his counterpart, Rocco Becton. And then also, when you usually see a team with 11 wins like Iowa State, they usually have 30, 35, 40 sacks. They only had 16 sacks last year, while Kansas State had 35, which they were creating a lot of havoc here. I also think that Iowa State's receiving position is really going to miss their 2 starters, 2nd and 3rd round draft choices, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Those 2 combined for 167 catches and 17 touchdowns. That's almost going back to when, Chase and Jefferson did their damage. Not quite at that level, but pretty close. I like Kansas State here. I think the right team's favored, 27-20.
Lee Sterling's got Kansas State laying the points 5 games this weekend, but that, of course, is the headliner, 11 a.m. Central Time on ESPN. Hey, what's your we got a few minutes left. What's your take on this LSU team this season?
I think they're going to be good. They need to have, some of those offensive linemen. There's some young offensive linemen at the tackle position. They've got to come on. And the defense, they can't give up 4.3 yards per carry like they did last year, 4.5 the years before. So they've got to stiffen up there, and they've got some transfers. Just like almost every other team, you got to have those transfers pan out, but it's really nice when you have a returning quarterback, probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the nation. So that should be good. I like their prop over 9.5 wins, and also you can get them at +125 to make the college football playoff. So that's one of my plays in the SEC.
Okay. Well, LSU +125 to make the playoff. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, Lee, I've seen the number at 8.5. You're seeing LSU at over 9.5?
Yeah, 9.5. It's moved up.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess, look, man, being out there for a lot of access at fall camp, man, This team, it's
no, you know what? It is 8.5. My mistake.
Okay, it's 8.5. Yeah,
it is 8.5. 8.5 minus 155. The under is plus 125.
Okay. What about? We got about 90 seconds. Is there a team? Do you see any win total over under value? Either someone being overvalued or undervalued in the SEC?
Yeah, I like Alabama. I think Alabama with, the transition is always tough, and I like their offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb. He was at Washington with Kalen DeBoer the year before. He was with the Seattle Seahawks as the offensive coordinator last year. So I think he's going to bring in some new concepts and mesh well. I also, believe it or not, I like Florida. I think Florida, they paid their dues last year, and they're on the upswing. And the two overrated teams, I think, are South Carolina. I like the under in their win total. They caught a lot of teams last year at the right time, and Lenore Sellers, for how great he can be some games, there's some games he is absolutely horrendous. And then one other team that might be a little overrated, well, I don't know if they're overrated, Tennessee. Losing your quarterback and the downgrade to Joey Aguilar, who's just average, and a new running back and a bunch of new receivers and defensive front that may not be anything special. I'm going to go also under on the Tennessee win total. They have a really tough schedule.
Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Hey, if people want to play along all season, what's the number to get the picks?
Well, you want to try us out. How about this 6 weeks through the end of September? We call it September to Remember. Normally $5.97. Use coupon code SAVE100, just $4.97. You're going to get most weekends 9 to 12, 9 to 13 games a week. And how about this? You want to try out the UFC this weekend. Normally 3 selections, $33. Use coupon code SAVE30. Just $3, and it's early. It starts Saturday at 2 a.m. in the morning. So the UFC special, 3 selections, just $3, and we've won 10 of the last 13 cards.
Awesome.
And the football special, $4.97. Use coupon code SAVE100. ParamountSports.com.
ParamountSports.com. Thank you, Lee.
Okay. See you, Matt.
We'll do it again next week. Hour number 3 is coming up right after Sports Center. It's AFR. Don't you move.
AFR.
60 seconds to remind you about Relief Windows. I could do it in 60 minutes if I had the time. It's because if I were to sit here and sing Brandon Holly's praises, read 5-star Google reviews, tell you about all the great ways that they help homeowners beautify their homes, save money by lowering their energy bills, make their homes more secure, Relief Windows does it all. Remember, it's storm season still, and every now and again we're seeing these little systems pop up in the Gulf or out in the Atlantic. It's a reminder of the threat that's always posed when we live here. It's one of the reasons Erica and I had Brandon and his team install those impact-resistant windows. They're Cat 5 approved in Miami-Dade County. You've seen the commercial where Brandon's hitting the window with a crowbar. That's these windows. So it'll add an extra layer of security to your home. They're energy efficient. It'll lower your energy bills. It'll increase your home's resale value. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. They do shutters too. ReliefWindows.com.